Hello. Hi. How are we doing today? Welcome to day 3 of Marble Hornets, the special quarantine watch-along. Thank you for joining me. How you doing? Apologize for the small delay. I was eating a delicious burger that I made, and it took me a little bit longer to eat than I expected because I was enjoying it too much because it was so good. It was a, get this, it was a patty melt with extra sharp white cheddar, onion rings, barbecue sauce. Dios mío. And most importantly, did not put butter on the bread. Instead, put Japanese mayonnaise. It's called Kewpie, if you're not familiar with it. It doesn't taste like regular mayonnaise. It tastes different, but it is terrific for browning bread. So, all right. Now that we've gotten our food chat out of the way, I think my lighting is gradually going to change as the sun goes down. As you can see, I never bothered putting curtains on this window, so that's about the best that I can do for the time being. As you can see, as promised, today is flannel day. Hopefully, I did not strictly say, to be fair, I did not say you all should wear flannel too, but if you also did wear flannel, even better. It really gets us in the mood, into Marble Hornets mindset, if you will. Yes, on Thursdays we wear flannel. Yes. So, am I forgetting anything else before we start? Oh, it was for a really dumb basic reason, but I figured out why I could not get the subtitles to work previously for the last 2 days. But it should be fixed now. So starting tonight, we should be having subtitles on the videos as well. I was using, for anyone who cares, I was playing the DVD file through VLC Media Player, and if you choose the subtitle track through VLC, it doesn't show up. But if I go to the actual DVD menu and choose subtitles on, it works. I don't know why. So, trying to think of anything else before we go. I think that's it. Oh, my wife was telling me yesterday there were people in the chat saying things like, how do I give tips or whatever, to which I said, I don't know what that is. I'm still kind of new to Twitch. I'm just kind of, we've just kind of been hanging out, having a good time. So I didn't know how to set any of that stuff up. Still do not have any of that stuff set up for now, but I do have a Patreon link in my bio, however you get to that. Again, I don't really know the Twitch layout very well yet. And there is a Discord through the Patreon, so if you're interested, it's a cool place. Have a good time and hang out. Very LGBT plus friendly, I will add. In fact, I may be the only. I'm one of the few cis people in there, for whatever that's worth. If that's a selling point, great. So yeah. If you're the kind of person who normally tips on Twitch, I don't have any of that stuff set up, but you can do that instead. Am I forgetting anything else before we go, should I be saying anything else? Okay, the tips are a Twitch partner thing. That's why. That's why, because I'm not a Twitch partner. Although, it looks like I just stumbled upon there's like the Twitch achievement page, and I'm not a Twitch partner, but it looks like we're coming up on hitting the criteria awfully fast, thanks to these. So, you know, if we keep doing this for another week or so, not that Marble Hornets Season 3 is going to last a whole other week. That'd be pretty excessive, but, you know, we might get there faster than expecting. So, tonight we're going to be doing Season 3, not the whole thing, because it is 5.5 hours long, I do believe. And, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying this a lot, but, almost 6 hours here. That's a good bit beyond my capabilities. So we're gonna be at least splitting it up into at least 2 days. We'll decide if it ends up being 3. Because I am currently playing. So this file will currently run through 3 hours and 9 minutes of it. I'm not sure which entry that is. We might end up stopping before that, maybe at the 2.5 hour mark. We'll see. We did make it all the way through Season 2 in one sitting last night, and that one's 2.5 hours-ish or so. So we'll see, but either way, definitely not all in one night. And then I know I don't have anything after Season 1 scheduled, but we will figure it out at the end of this, whether we want to do it on Saturday or just save it till next Monday. I'm thinking Monday, personally. So, other than that, I think that covers anything, apart from the chat saying I should say trans rights, which I will, obviously. So, okay. Let us begin with entry 53. I'll actually have things to say this season because I was actually here for all of this. I guess technically in real life it was about an hour away. I think we said that it was a lot further away though. This place was... Is this the antique shop, or is that a different place? I don't think it's open anymore.
I was just wondering if you have seen a guy come in here. He's probably about my age. He's got dark hair, sideburns. You know, have you seen anyone in here recently like that?
Yeah, I see a guy.
We knew the audience would know exactly who he meant.
Sometimes he comes in when he's looking for his... Says he has a doctor's appointment.
Okay. Do you know where he might be going?
Well, I don't know.
So we lived like right down the street from this place, and I don't remember, but I think...
All right.
I think Troy just kind of walked in and was like, "Hey, I'm making this little web series short thing. Ma'am, would you like to be in it?" And she was like, "Yeah, okay." And I think that he was just in and out in a few minutes shooting that scene. When you're in small town Alabama, you know, that kind of stuff is exciting. So even if it's just for something no one will see, a lot of times people will get pretty excited about that stuff. I have a New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA, by the way. I'm not a huge fan of IPAs, but I bought a variety pack, and this is all that was left, so... There he is.
Tim. Hey,
Unfortunately, I didn't learn how to tuck in my shirts until
Right.
about
Yeah.
2015 or so.
it's Jay. Jay, do you remember me at all? You don't?
No.
Okay. Well, remember?
Nope. No, sir.
I helped you, or like you helped. You and I both, like, we helped Alex Crayley with
Awful
the student
shirt
film
as
on the
well.
Hornets like a few years ago. You
I remember that one. I think I
Kinda.
threw it
That was
away.
Kind of a long time ago, wasn't it? What are you doing around here?
Well, you know, I'm glad I ran into you because remember, I told you a while back that I wanted to finish it for him because, you know, I didn't want all his work to go to waste. If you're, you know,
Okay,
if
yeah,
you're still interested in it, we should
Yeah,
like.
sure. Can we talk about it some other time? Because I'm really late for my doctor's
Oh,
appointment.
yeah. I'll talk to you some other time.
We probably should have set these subtitles up to not cover the entire screen sometimes, but what are you going to do? I mean, the people walking by probably didn't think anything of this. So that was the apartment that I think Troy was living in at the time, right across the street from this.
Hey, Tim.
This was a cool little
hey,
area
yeah,
because we were
sorry,
able to film a lot.
Didn't know you were going to be
In
waiting
this little
outside,
downtown
otherwise I would've
area.
Tried to like pick up the pace in there a little bit.
Oh no, I mean I wasn't like wasn't sitting outside waiting on you or anything. I was in the area anyway, so I just figured I'd stop by here real quick and see if I could catch you on your way out.
Okay.
As a
fair enough, I
corollary to Joseph's
Uh,
keys
uh,
last
I didn't,
season,
like ask you this before, but is
I had a
is
little
everything okay
lighter
with you?
on a
Everything
key
okay?
ring that it took me way too
yeah,
long
you
to
know,
figure
just
out I should take
work,
off of there.
school, the usual.
Like I mean, I just saw you going into that clinic, so. is everything
Sideburns
okay
are
with
nasty,
you?
man.
Yeah,
Clean
I mean,
clean those
you know,
up.
I'm
Doing
just
okay?
having some
Take some
personal
clippers to those
issues a
bad
few months
boys.
ago, but you know, everything seems to be going pretty good now.
Okay, so you're doing fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you know, just about helping finish Alex's project. You know, if you want to,
Sorry,
if you're still interested. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, sure, I'll be right over. Okay, bye. Sorry, that was work, I gotta go, but you got my number, right?
No, actually, can you give it to me real quick?
Yeah, sure. Or
I'd rather
I'll just,
not,
just give me yours
actually.
and I'll put it in here.
Okay. It's two.
That was most definitely the kind of phone with a keyboard in it. Slide the top of that bad boy off.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll just give you a call whenever I get off work or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to you then.
Fellas, is it gay to do close-ups of your buds with your camcorder? Not if you say no homo. You don't have to. So if you were standing where Jay is, where the camera is, and you were to look to the left, the woods there are where the nighttime footage from the Jessica entry in this
Hello?
season was filmed, and also most of the Craig Digsby videos.
Hey, what's up?
Nature Break with Craig Digsby. Look them up on YouTube if you've never seen them. They're good.
I remember this, but I remember Alex had me shoot like some, behind the scenes footage type stuff while we were making that movie, and I think I was supposed to give them back, but I don't think I ever did. So
Okay.
I might still have them lying around somewhere. So
That doesn't even sound like me. Holy moly.
Find those, I'd be more than happy to just.
Holy
give them to you or
cannelloni.
whatever.
Yeah. If you can find them, I'll take them. I'm sure I can use them for something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, I'm not entirely sure where they are right now, but if you'll give me a little bit to try and find them, then I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, just let me know.
All right, cool.
Why did Tim give him those tapes
guess I'll,
back?
talk
Because
to you later.
Tim doesn't care. He doesn't know what's
Yeah,
on them.
okay.
He doesn't
Yeah.
know why they're important.
Bye.
They're just old ass
See ya.
mini DV tapes he has laying around. He probably doesn't have anything to play them on. Who does, really?
Great.
Yeah, Tim was just vibing there and all this. So this area here, I don't know if he ever showed the little street corner, but there was like, there's a bend in the road right there, and there's sort of like where a building was that had been knocked down at some point, and that was the area where Troy and I would walk down and kind of brainstorm for the series a lot, because it was within walking distance of that apartment complex, because we all three of us lived in the same place by this. Well, not by now, we didn't live there, but hey, he's back. So there was actually a period where we stopped doing To the Ark videos because, for those of you who don't remember YouTube that far back, the entire reason that they existed in the first place because there was a video reply feature. So, you know, if there was a video, you could do a video reply to it, and it would be featured underneath the video it was replying to. So, like, you'd click on a Marble Hornets entry, and then you'd see that To the Ark video underneath it. Well, then YouTube got rid of that feature, so we thought, for a while there, we just kind of said, well, no one's going to see these anymore. But enough people said, you know, hey, what happened to those, that we decided to keep doing them.
Hey.
Hey, Jay. Here's,
Hey, man.
Here's those tapes I was telling you about.
Okay.
So, what's the deal with all this stuff?
What stuff?
You know, the whole...
Those
point
were
your camera at
Walmart
everybody's
Converse
face.
knockoffs, by the way.
You know, trying to
Not
document
comfortable at
this
all.
whole-
Still have those.
This whole process of getting all of Alex's stuff back together and finishing this movie for him, you know.
Okay. Are you making some kind of behind-the-scenes feature or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
What are on those tapes?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't able to watch them. I'm not the movie guy, so I don't have a camera that'll play those kind of tapes.
See?
Well, what'd you shoot him on?
Oh, Alex lent me one of his cameras to, you know, keep me out of his hair, I guess, so I
Okay.
wouldn't bother him. I gave the camera back, but not the tapes for some reason, but I guess
Okay.
they're yours now.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
Have
Well,
fun with them.
thanks again for helping me finish this.
I mean, I'll help however much I can, but I mean, if you couldn't already tell, my work schedule's kind of packed, but I mean, if you really think this movie's worth finishing, then yeah, I guess just give me a call or something.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's worth finishing. So I'll watch these. I'll call you. All right.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we were right outside a place called City Cafe in Northport, Alabama, which is a local institution. It is open from like 4 a.m. until maybe 2 in the afternoon, and it is the quintessential like southern breakfast place. You get you some biscuits and gravy, some bacon, some sausage, some grits, all that good stuff. Oh, I miss it. For like $5.
Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, this was meant to be... The running shot was meant to be sort of a fake out where it's like, oh no, something scary is happening. Well, maybe not. And it was not raining, so I think we spritzed
Exciting, I guess,
everyone
is the
with
word.
water.
It's fun.
Oh yeah, this was filmed in
Pouring rain.
Auburn, I think,
Awesome.
because that's where Seth was living, and we went to go visit
seen
him
Alex?
at his place.
Oh, he said he was gonna run home and change shirts because obviously he's kind of soaking right now, but he said he was gonna be back in a little bit. So.
Aren't you taking this car? Yeah. Unless you want to wait for me, you should probably go.
All right. I'll see you. See ya.
Bye, Deuterino.
Well, we certainly have a reason to be here anymore either, since I guess we're done.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I think we're just gonna be like wrapping it up back here. So.
Well,
All right. See ya.
We're here in scenic.
So that
Temple
keyboard belonged to my grandmother. Okay, I
and
still
his
have
music
all of
room.
that stuff.
Complete with box.
The
of
amp, the
thing.
keyboard, that piano's right
Keyboard.
there. But that keyboard belonged to my grandmother, and she gave it to me. And
Ukulele with Tim attachment.
I just learned this song like 2 minutes ago.
Another keyboard. Complete with beats.
I define song pretty loosely right now because this.
bet your buns, I still got it.
Atrocious.
Why am I holding the camera?
Because you're the. movie
This
guy.
is also one of my favorite
You be
entries.
the behind
Wow.
the movie guy. A little bit more on topic.
Oh, there's Brian.
What's up, dude?
That's a nice towel you got there.
Oh, thanks.
That's nice.
That's a
hair
nice
you have
hair you
there.
Oh man, my hair always looks good. That's why I'm the star.
But Seth and I have been going over the footage, and I think we have enough now to where we can start putting together our trailer. And I've been thinking about music. I think I want to go more along the acoustic lines. So we want to help record some stuff.
That close up of Brian's eyes is
I
one of
could
my favorite
probably
shots of
do
all
that.
time.
I mean, I got this ukulele like a week ago, so I can't exactly promise that I'd be very good at it, but I can always.
Still have the ukulele, still never really
I
learned how to
assume
play it.
it's some sort of guitar thing.
You can.
How-
Is it
Haven't
gonna
touched
be
it in a
like-
while. Oops.
Is it gonna be like
There's
dark?
going to be significantly more lighting.
Okay. Well, I also like to be able to see, so I'm gonna go try and find the breaker box. I don't even know where it is. I've never had to use it before. Ow.
Not there.
No.
I think this was in my apartment because that room was ended up becoming a spare room because we had a roommate and then she like moved out early and was like, "Here's the rest of the rent in advance." I was like,
Never mind.
"Okay." Oh, there he is.
Never mind again.
Oh yeah, I think Bradley was just off screen. Bradley was my pet rat at the time. Who was terrific. He was the best.
Great. Power's just off.
Nasty. Clean that place.
Good
was my
news,
place.
guys. We have flashlight.
Oh, dude.
Even better news, guess what's battery powered?
Oh, this day just got so much better. Well, hey, that acoustic soundtrack. I guess that's the only choice we have now. So,
Jam session.
yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Can we get a good lighting on Alex here?
It looks so dramatic.
Ooh. So that little shot at the end, I hope I don't seem like I'm ruining anything yet. But that was actually... Oh! This! So this sound here was the first time we used audio from the synthesizer that I built. It's a very basic synthesizer. It's really more of a noisemaker inside of a Devo Energy Dome helmet that I got at their live show a couple of years previously, which I still have. I tweeted a short video of me sort of messing around with it about a month ago. I'll re-upload it, so if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should. But if you do already, just check my feed after the stream is over, and I'll be sure to re-share it so you can see what exactly was making that noise. But yeah, so the final shot in that entry right before it ends, where you see the shadow coming in the room, that was actually just Troy coming back in to say, just to say cut, like the scene was over or whatever. And then we were all reviewing the footage at the end, and we saw it like, right before he comes in, you just see a shadow, and we really like the way that looked. So we were like, yeah, we'll include it.
Hey, Alex,
Oh yeah,
the
this
day
was
when
the
we were
scene
talking
where
about
some
needing, abandoned
guy. This was
locations
right
for
outside
Brian's
our
school, like,
mine
in
and
the
Joseph's
movie. Did you ever
apartment
find
building.
anything?
and these guys like in a car just like pulled up next to us, and one of them leaned out of the door and be like, "Hey, you the guys from Marble Hornets?" And you're like, "Yeah."
Okay. Well, the reason
And you
that
just
I asked
went,
was because there's like,
"Cool,
this
man.
old
Stuff's awesome." And then they
burnt
just
out
closed the door and
hospital
kept on
looking kinda
driving.
place back where I used to live.
So that was
might
pretty cool.
pass as a school.
we did
if
not
you
see.
wanna go
We did
check it
not
out,
say
we
yes. We're
can,
filming
but
an
it's
entry right
kinda far
now.
away.
Maybe we should have,
Well,
but
does it look like a hospital?
them
or
stopping
do you
us was
really think
enough.
that it could-
I think it could pass as a school.
Okay. Well, I haven't found anything around here. How far away is kind of far away?
Far enough that we probably need to split gas money.
Fair enough. Well, like I said, since I haven't found anything, I'm willing to give it a shot. Can you do Friday? I'm free all day.
Just was
Actually,
wearing
I
my
have a
shirt.
doctor's
I still have
appointment
that
Friday
shirt.
at, like 2. But if you can do Saturday, that would be
I think
better.
my wife's grandma gave me
We
that
kind
shirt.
of have to make a weekend out of it anyway.
I can do Saturday. Brian, since you're going to have to be there anyway, can you do Saturday too?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, let's shoot for Saturday then, and we'll give it a look.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All you need to do is go stand by the sign over there. Yeah.
I made that shot. The chapter thumbnail on the DVD for this entry, for obvious reasons. I mean, if you're gonna pick an iconic shot from this entry in particular, that's the one you're gonna go with. Well, maybe that one. That one's a close
Alright, that'll be
second,
good.
but you know.
Yeah, where you're at is fine. Just lean back. And,
I lived on the second floor, and my downstairs neighbors sucked. They called noise complaints on us like twice a week, to the point where I actually became friends with the security guy, and then he was like, "Yeah, we actually get a lot more noise complaints. We just don't even I just don't even knock on your door anymore. I just sit on the steps and listen for a minute, and if I don't hear anything, I leave."
Yep, Friday at 2. I'll be there. Just headaches, paranoia, trouble sleeping. I haven't had a full night's sleep in weeks.
Same.
Well,
Not
I've
really.
kinda
I'm getting
had
better.
some history with this kind of thing before, but I'd rather not talk about that over the phone if that's okay. All right, see you then.
try to keep your phone on top.
Sorry.
History. This guy, I remember him. I think I tripped getting up from the couch on entry 18 just because it was like we couldn't figure out a way for me to get up off the couch in a way that made it look like I was going fast. Like, even if I just jumped right up, it still looked slower than we wanted it to. So that was, I think that was the way we landed on it, where it was just like I got up so fast I tripped, you know?
I almost thought you'd given up on this place since it's been so long since I told you about it.
Yeah, stuff came up.
That happens. We actually gonna be filming anything today?
No, I'm not going to shoot anything without Brian here.
Okay, when's he supposed to get here?
Well, he'll be here tomorrow, and Seth will be here later today.
All right, so we just kind of doing preliminary location scouting.
Yeah.
Works for me.
They're walking on train tracks to show that we're in the same place as entry 51 took place.
We're going to take a wild guess and say that this is it.
Yes, that would be a correct guess. Let's see, if I remember correctly, I think it's 3 floors, a basement, might be able to get up on the roof, so we can just kind of go in and take a look around if you want to.
Yeah, all right.
There's a lot of graffiti on the first floor, so I'm not sure how much of that you'd be able to use.
I sound much more southern in this. Is that just my imagination?
As you
Seems
can
like I
see.
am. The Bone Masters have been here. The Bone Squad. And no, we did not write Bone. That was just a recurring thing that we sort of accidentally kept finding, and we're not sure why. If you want to hear me go into more detail on that, if you weren't here for the Season 1 and or Season 2 watch-alongs,
Yeah,
you
but
can
it's
go
just
back to
like
my
a
Twitch page, and you can
annex.
watch the recordings
Nothing
on
special. This place is
there. Under
way better.
videos.
No, let's go. I want to see it.
Well, I'm kind of not sure if I feel like I'm up to going to another place. If you don't mind.
I do mind because
Well, I do mind.
there is no way this place could pass for a school. I'll just go over there with Seth when he gets here.
Fine with me. Well, you know, compared to the rest of this place, this room doesn't really have a whole lot of graffiti in it. You could probably use it at some point. Don't you
Once
think?
again, based on a real discussion we probably had.
I mean, unless you're okay with having, like, Nancy Hart's Kevin on the wall or something. So are we going upstairs or downstairs?
I think we said that because it
Go
sounded
up.
tamer than
Okay, well,
penises or
stairs that go
swastikas,
up
which
or
is what
all
was
the way over
actually
there,
on the
but-
walls.
We can do that. Maybe this room down here will be more to your liking. So I'm not exactly sure what you're really looking for, but
Passive aggression
Maybe.
is the default conversational mode.
Okay. Well, there has to be some room in this place that you like somewhere. 'Cause this place isn't exactly tiny. I gotta take a leak. Hang on.
You'd think he'd have pointed it away from himself while he was going to do that, but, you know. You know, we still haven't been down to the basement yet. There might be some place down there that we could use if you want to head down there. So do you want to... Ooh. Did he finish peeing? Well, you know, the essence of this series is all about mysteries. What does your heart tell you? Yeah, so in one of the entries after this, it'll show that footage again. Or no, I don't think it shows the footage, but it says something in the text about why Alex hit Tim with that pipe or something like that. And the whole reason that was in there is because people online kept saying it was a stick. It was a pipe. But once again, you know, things that look large in person maybe look a little smaller on camera, so it didn't look like a big lead pipe on camera. So it bugged us enough that we specified. So almost the entire reason that this entry even exists, and maybe even the one before this, is because we wanted to get Tim over to the other building, the abandoned doctor's office building, but we'd sort of implied through the dialogue that either they weren't that close, or maybe he knew about one or not the other, or something. So that we came up with this entry almost as a way to like get him from point A to point B almost. So it's sort of like almost like a problem solving, or like a tying up loose ends entry for us. But it ended up turning out to be what I think now is one of my favorite ones, because man, the atmosphere of this is really unsettling, as it was in real life. Because Troy and Joseph were up on the roof, and I was running by myself all the way down the building to the entrance. And I think I saw like a truck's taillights way down at the other end of the big driveway at the road. And I was so sure that someone was going to see me, and it gave me the creeps. So this was actually pretty stressful. So the nervous breathing is not all acting here. Because this is just me by myself in the dark in this building. They were hanging out upstairs, waiting for me to be done. And I just had to take off running out into the open. Now the wood shots were someplace different. I think these were actually in the woods behind our apartment, in the entry where Alex chases us out into the woods, and I come close to hitting him with the rock. It's this same area here. Because this part was closer and it was easier. No easily identifiable landmarks, so we said, well, this could be any woods. Why not use these? Okay, so now we're in the other building, so we've made it. This was the same night that the previous part that I was just talking about was shot in the other building, so I already knew there was a truck at the end of the road, so I was nervous during this whole part too, because this is actually a little closer to the road than the other building is. So this whole time I was just like, oh man, someone's gonna show up, someone's gonna find us, someone's gonna, you know. I think we filmed this part kind of quick for that reason. I think I was insistent that we not stay here very long. And that camera's night vision feature is perfect for this, because you can just see just enough. So one thing that I was doing is that we actually I'll finish that thought here in a minute. That was better than I remembered, honestly. And I remember liking it then too. So yeah, the way that night vision mode in that camera works is that you still need some kind of light source or you can't really see anything. So we actually had this really powerful flashlight. And so what I would do in the bigger building at the beginning of the entry, because I couldn't see anything, is I had the camera in one hand and that flashlight in the other, and I would point it up towards the ceiling, and it was powerful enough that it would sort of like light everything, not well enough for me to see, but enough for the night vision on the camera to pick up. So it's like I would run like this, camera in one hand, flashlight in the other, and then as I was running, I would occasionally point the camera down and then point the flashlight in front of me so that I could see, and then swing it back up and then keep going a little bit further, and then like, trip back over, point it down, light in front of me so I could see, then lift it back up again. So it was that part took a little coordination. One day. I want to say that spider shot might have actually been something that we shot. That Troy shot? That shot right there at the very end. That one was one that we made. And there was a barn on the grounds at the abandoned school that doesn't show up until towards the end of the series. But we location scouted it towards the beginning. And whenever we were looking around, we took a lot of photos. And I remember that was a silhouette of me standing in the doorway of that barn with the light behind me. I forgot that made that in. That made it in.
Medication for a couple of weeks now, and I feel like it's actually doing the trick. Normal sleep schedule, and like I should be. I mean, I feel like everything's doing okay for once. So I feel like unless you think the next appointment is really necessary, I feel like I could go for another month or two. Okay, well, same time, same place then, I guess.
If I'd been aware of Bernie Sanders back then, I would have done the finger wag instead.
Sorry about that. That's my doctor. He calls up every few days to make sure I'm doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was looking pretty slim in this one.
Well, I'm not dead yet, so that's something, I guess.
Okay.
Did you find anything good on those tapes, or could you even play them?
So I was working 2 jobs, and I did this thing where I was
I
only
found a few
eating
things I could work
tilapia and
with
spinach for a solid couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised. I
Do not recommend.
figured it would mostly just be us.
Tilapia
goofing
is
around
disgusting.
Most of the time.
There was a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, it kind of figures because that's what the entire shoot was like.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you something about that footage. You mentioned something to Alex about going out to see a abandoned hospital or something to go location scouting, I think, with him.
I think I remember because he said he was looking for abandoned locations to shoot the movie in, and because I'm from, like, I grew up here, and I know there was an abandoned hospital off past Rosswood Park, but we never went.
You never went there with Alex?
Mm-mm.
Why didn't you go? Did he
Smoking's
just
bad for you. Don't do it.
Couldn't be bothered, I guess. I mean, you remember him. If it was 10 minutes away from his house, that was too far away, so I can only imagine trying to get him all the way out here.
Yeah. Well, could you maybe show it to me while I'm out here? Because, I gotta...
Having said that,
I'm finishing it for him. I could use it.
it does make you look cool in
But
YouTube
only if you're
videos from
okay with
2012.
A little bit of, trespassing.
Well, shooting this thing, or this movie, I've had my fair share of it, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, technically it's trespassing, but they don't really enforce
They
it
don't?
during the day, so
Okay.
if we went while it was still light out, we shouldn't really have any problems.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to go there at night.
No.
Okay.
I certainly wouldn't want to go there. But, Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what my work schedule is, but I think I'm off on Friday.
Okay.
So if you're
I
free
think
on
a lot of the
Friday, I feel like
conversation
we
in this
probably
entry
could
was
then.
sort of based
I'm not
on
really doing much of anything
if we
right
knew
now, so
someone
any
who
day will
actually
work for
wanted
me.
to
Okay,
who
well,
wanted to
let
visit
me
the
run
locations
home
with
and
us.
check and
What
see
would
what
that
my work
location? What would that
schedule is,
conversation sound like?
And I can just give you a call, and we can
We may have
meet up Friday morning
this
somewhere.
may have
Sounds
been
good?
a real life conversation that we'd had with someone at some point.
Hope you came ready to walk today.
What?
Hey,
Said hope you came ready to walk today.
that's
How
the
far
same
is it in
T-shirt
relation
from
to
the
here?
interview entry in season
Past those
1.
trees, past the railroad
Don't have it anymore,
tracks, past the
sadly.
field, you know, a little bit of a walk.
Is this as close as we could have parked?
Well, we could have driven right up to the front door if you want to, but you know, some guy in a pickup truck would have pointed.
I
a
do not
shotgun
smoke
at you and
anymore,
told you to
for
turn
whoever
around,
asked.
So I figured we could just kind of skip
Still
that
not off
step.
nicotine completely, but I haven't had a cigarette in quite a long time. A few years at least.
You sound like you come out here a lot.
I've only been out here a couple of times, but this place kind of has a reputation around here. No? What do you think? Not bad, huh?
There's too much graffiti on it, I think.
Yeah, the first floor's got a lot, but the upper floors aren't nearly as bad.
On those tapes you gave me, you mentioned another building around here. Where's that?
Really?
Yeah.
Why would I have brought that up?
I don't know, but is there?
Well, yeah, there is, but this one's way better. I mean, you got 3 floors, roof access, basement. I mean, there's really no reason to go over the other one. This should have everything you need.
Let's just go over there and look at it, because I don't think this one's gonna work.
How do you know? You haven't even been inside it yet.
I can just tell that it's not gonna work for the scene that needs to be shot.
Buddy?
Let's go over the other one. We'll come back around and look at it if the other one's not as good.
Okay, fine. I'm telling you, it's really nothing special. See what I mean?
I remember. I think we had to shoot a good chunk of this again because of a continuity
the inside that
error.
matters anyway.
Continuity error because I had like
Well,
I'd leaned against a wall and got a bunch
all
of
that's
dust on
really
the back of my
inside is
shirt or
hallways
something.
with broken glass, but if that's what you want, be my guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mole. If you want to talk about Marble Hornets props, I still have the mole.
Left of a courtyard over here if you want to use that.
Auction it. Well, it's an idea.
Looks like
Is there an
there's
easy
fire
way to
here
get
or
it off?
something.
I don't know anything about mole
I think
removal.
That's why they closed it down in the first place, so you can see up here. The paint's a whole lot darker up near the top.
Wait, hold on. You okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just the
fine.
asbestos.
What was that?
And this is a really old building. I'm sure there's junk that falls down around here all the time.
Yeah, that dust. I think I had that on the back of my shirt in the shots that came earlier, but we shot after this, like us walking in. So I think we had to wipe that off
Let's keep going.
and shoot it again.
Hold on.
So the autofocus comes
Okay,
in and
Bob.
out so much with this
We're
camera.
gonna check out every little noise. We're gonna be here all day.
that sometimes we were able to blur it. Troy was able to blur it on purpose, and you wouldn't really know if it was on purpose or if it was just something the camera does, because we're already used to it by then. Because he's pointing it right at that graffiti a second ago, and it went out of focus, and I think that one might have been on purpose.
Well, hallways upon hallways upon hallways. Is this everything you hoped it could be?
So mean.
Yeah, it's okay. It's usable, I think.
So what do you need this place so bad for anyway? I mean, is there some kind of abandoned hospital scene or something?
I think we literally drew an operator symbol over a swastika coming in that door there.
Scene, yeah.
I think it was right there, and we just covered it up with an operator symbol.
I really don't understand why you're going through all this trouble just to finish up this movie, because as far as I remember, even by student film standards, it wasn't particularly good.
I told you, I just want to finish what Alex started. I hate to see all of his work go to waste.
Well, obviously he didn't care that much, otherwise he would have finished it.
Maybe something came up with him.
What, like him turning into a completely unbearable person to work with?
I don't know. I didn't really know him that well. Hey!
Hey, bud. Hey, fella.
What are you doing? You probably went out the windows. Come on, this way. Hey, stop! Hey!
So a lot of times, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. A lot of times whenever the camera was pointed at the ground like this, a lot of times it was done so that we could cheat distances of where things were located while still keeping it one continuous shot without cutting away.
Yeah, but people wander around out here all the time, kind of like we're doing right now.
What is this? Some kind of maintenance tunnel. I think he jumped down there.
Well, I'm not going down there, so I say we get out of here. No, Jay! Look, that guy that was wandering around might have been a security guard, so he might have called the cops on us. So if you don't mind, I'd rather get out of here before something happens.
I don't have a flashlight.
Well, I don't either, because we did kind of come out here in the morning. I didn't really expect to have to need one.
So fussy.
Can we be done now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am sick of this and I've had enough. I want to go home.
Which way's the front?
That way.
You still want to check out in here?
No.
Yeah, to be fair,
I want to be here anyway.
if that was actually me, I wouldn't want to go down there either.
And we can still look in there if you want to.
Get
See
my
who liked it
pants
better.
dirty.
I just want to get out of here.
All right.
You can come back another day, but I don't know that I'll be joining you. Look, I don't know what you're up to, but I think I've had enough.
What do you mean what I'm up to? Just trying to finish Alex's movie for him.
Okay, well, I think
Have you
I've helped
seen
out
it?
all that I can then, especially
Do you
if it
remember
involves
what
going
it was
out there.
like?
I've had enough of that place for a lifetime.
What?
I've had enough of that place for a lifetime.
You said you've only been out there a few times.
Yeah, well, that was enough.
Well, at least I know where it is now. I can come out here and shoot some other time.
Good luck with that.
And you thought the meanness of Alex and Jay in the last season couldn't be topped? You thought incorrectly. It is a shame Jay never got to finish Alex's movie. It really would have been a gift to the world. I mean, Jay would have been fine if he hadn't been posting cringe. Let that be a lesson to you. Jay, you were posting cringe. You're going to lose subscriber.
Tim called me a little while ago and told me to meet him out here to talk about something. He didn't say what it was, but I assume it has something to do with what all happened at the abandoned hospital a few days ago, which didn't really go as well as I hoped it would, even though I don't know how I expected
So
it
this
to go.
entry, I'll say this beforehand, but
I don't know what all Tim
I
remembers and what he doesn't remember and what he's
was not
lying
in the
about
best
remembering and
place
not
at the
remembering,
time that we did this, and especially when I
regardless,
wrote
I don't think
this.
he's going to be buying my cover
When I
story for
wrote
much longer, and even if he
the
did, it's not really doing much good.
Ensuing
by
argument
this
here.
point. So
A lot of things
as
have been
nervous
going
as
wrong
it makes me
then.
to do this, I think when
I
he
had
gets here,
taken a semester off
I'm
school.
going
I
to come
had
clean with him and tell him the truth.
I'd
about
gotten
what
my
all's been
first,
going on these past
hey,
few
your
years.
student loan payments are
It may
going to be
make him
due
mad.
soon letters,
It
and
may
I
get him
was
on my
kind of
side. I
not
don't
in a
know
very good place.
what's going to happen,
And so
but maybe it'll lead to some answers
The-
if I'm lucky.
I was able to channel a lot of genuine emotion into this.
All right, that's him.
Everything ended up getting better almost right after
Tim,
this.
listen,
So
Student film, you lying piece of... So after our little field trip, I couldn't help but shake this feeling that there was something funny about you. So I do a search for marble hornets, and you want to know what I find?
I was gonna tell you tonight, Tim. I
Tonight?
swear.
Tonight? Not last week whenever you dragged me out to that hospital to chase after whoever that guy was? Huh? 3 months ago whenever you followed me outside my own doctor's office?
I had to be sure I could
I remember
trust
we
you.
came
Have
out
you seen
to
the
this
entries
place
being
and
blamed?
filmed
There's a lot
this
of things I
scene
can blame you for right now,
maybe
Jay.
3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 evenings in a row,
Just walk up to you and ask you about
because we
it?
would come out and we would do it, but I just didn't quite feel like I was getting to the level I needed to be. It was not.
I was getting better.
I was moving at half of the energy level I felt like I needed to. And then finally, I don't know what the difference was, but this finally, like on the last day, like on the 4th day or so, we came out here and we did it, and it was one of those things where
Think about that.
it was like, well, I think you nailed it on the first take, but let's do it one more time just to make sure. So it took a few tries to get here, to get to the level I think it needed to be, but I made it there eventually.
And I start getting better. And I can hold steady work, and I can function like a normal human being for once in my life. And then suddenly you show up, putting a camera in my face, bringing back old memories like it couldn't possibly have any effect on anybody else. And you're not even trying to fix any of this. All you do is point your camera at every little thing that happens. How does that help anybody?
In case something happens, I want people to know.
Like who? Who the hell is gonna care? What are you trying to gain from all this? I've seen it myself. Alex points a gun at you and your first instinct is to film it, you psychopath.
I'm a psychopath. You really want to call me a psychopath after all those videos?
Shut up! I'm not a psychopath. It's all Alex's fault. Him and whatever that is that follows him around. Somehow they're responsible for me being this way, and you knew about it. You knew about it for 3 years, and you never said a thing.
How was I supposed to know you wouldn't try to kill me at any minute? I just came to you now because I need your help.
Oh, my help? My help with what?
There's this girl, Jessica, and she's disappeared, and I know Alex has something to do with it.
Oh, you do? How do you know that? Who exactly is Jessica, huh? Somebody you met in a hotel once? Somebody you've spoken to for a grand total of twice? How do you have any proof that Alex had anything to do with her disappearing? Because as far as I can tell, she was doing just fine until she met you. Maybe Alex isn't even the problem. Maybe you're the problem.
I don't just need your help with her. I need your help with all of
What
this.
makes you think I want to help you?
What is it you want?
Okay, obviously you're not very good at this, so you can keep looking for whoever this Jessica is, but here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get in our own separate cars, go our own separate ways, go to our own separate homes. I'm gonna try and forget like I ever met you in the first place.
Tim, wait, just listen to me.
No, you listen to me. You can keep making your little detective videos all you want, but do me a favor and stay out of my life.
I was driving my wife's car, by the way, because I had a bright green Mustang at the time. You know, I'm going to be honest. When I sat down, when I was first sitting down to watch these, I was expecting to have all kinds of, you know, cringing at my old performances and critiquing myself and all that kind of stuff, but I got nothing to say on that one. I'm still pretty happy with it, if you ask me. But I remember going into it, it was like, you know, part of it was obviously the developing the character and continuing the story, but also a part of it was kind of demonstrating that we were self-aware, and it was almost like channeling a lot of the audience's negative critiques of the series into one of the characters and sort of turning it all back on itself. And I almost feel like that watching it now, it does kind of feel like a turning point in the series, because it's almost like calling out everything that came before it, which I think, you know, I remember was being partially intentional, but man, yeah. Entry 59. I can definitely say I'm still proud of it. Gotta touch it. There's the hand movement again. There's like a TS graffiti on the wall, and I swear it wasn't me. Everyone wants me to say mean stuff about the movie, but I'm not going to, because everyone who worked on it was really cool and nice to us. So I got nothing bad to say. Last I heard, that writing on the wall is still there. If you happen to find your way out there. I'm not going to tell you how to get there, because you're not supposed to go. I won't tell you how to get there, but I'm not going to do anything to stop you from looking it up on your own. How's that? Everyone go 4chan mode and find out where it is. Buddy, this is Marble Hornets we're talking about. Everyone figured out where it was, like, the day this came out. So yeah, I was not here for this day. I think I was in class, and this is the one that there were some rednecks that hooked their truck up with this big strap and were trying to pull a bunch of the copper pipes out of the wall, and while they were down there, and the whole thing was shaking, and they were terrified the whole thing was going to collapse in on them. Because I don't know if you can tell, but this is, if anything, this tunnel is actually more cramped than it looks on video. It's not big. Yeah, we were not huge on personal safety back in these days. We were willing to do just about anything. Me most of all, which is why I'm the one that ends up doing most of the stunts in this later on, with all of the falling and getting tossed around in the woods and jumping in the river and all that kind of stuff. There it is again, folks. You thought you'd seen the last of it. I believe if you look really closely at the doctor's signature, it's a very illegibly scrawled Nicolas Cage. Also, I think I just put a bunch of my real medical info on those forms just to fill out the spaces because it was all pretty benign stuff like, oh no, the internet's gonna know what medications I'm allergic to. Horror of horrors. That is one of the best ones so far. Really, really is. You know, honestly, the hardest part of this shot is making it look like he's running in here. This footage is all probably sped up, honestly. Yeah, again, there you go. The shaky cam there. Shaky enough that you can't tell what's going on. I think that was probably why that's there. I hope I don't seem like I'm picking this thing apart too much whenever I say stuff like that. It's just interesting looking back at it now and sort of remembering what kind of things that we did. Yes. No self-deprecation in this town. Self-deprecating humor is to the last decade. Here we only big each other up. I mean, realistically speaking, a slideshow of scans would probably have been a more efficient way to do this, but, you know,
the information
a less interesting way to do that.
has been redacted. I don't think that the hospital where these came from is responsible for this. I think whoever left these for me in the tunnel is the one responsible. Because the marker that redacted it looks to be the same thickness as the one that wrote on the folder itself.
Where did we find these
First
forms?
form is a pediatric admission profile from 1995. Source of information is listed as Tim's mother. Reason for admission, chief complaint is insomnia, headache, possible disorder. I have no idea what that means. It's really vague.
Google's free, man.
He's listed here on an anticonvulsant as a seizure precaution. Right under it, it says he has a history of falls, which I'm assuming has something to do with seizures. Under pain history assessment, on a scale of 1 to 10, it says his pain is at a 6 from frequent headaches. There's also an emotional variant of learning. I'm not sure what that could be.
Signs screaming. Same.
Filled out on the same day. It's a pediatric admission assessment. First aid chief complaints are the same. Headaches, insomnia. And
The
third one
pain level
is more
scale.
specific than possible disorder.
We'll have a little anecdote about that, but I'll save it for the end.
It's been redacted. Down here it says, do you feel safe in your home and are you afraid of anyone? Apparently answered yes at first, but then changed it to no. Alright, under comfort, rest, and sleep, it says he's unable to fall asleep easily, averaging about 4 hours a night.
Pillows used
Pain is still
2.
listed as a 6
Amateur.
It says location is the head, duration 2 to 4 hours. Chronic, greater than 6 months.
Should have at
Aggravated
least
by
4
talking,
pillows. At
what that
least.
could possibly signify. On the next to last page, near the bottom, it makes note that he ran away from home to somethings ago. It could have been days, weeks, months, hours, minutes. I don't know. But it does say that he was found at Rosswood Park. Last page is a fall risk assessment with checks next to confused, disoriented, hallucinating, and combative, and also medical history of syncope, seizures, and postural hypotension. Seizures underlined. Next is a delayed therapy communication form from 2002 for a monthly session. Only reason
2002 wasn't that long ago then.
Everything else that could possibly be of use to me has been redacted. Next is a brief operative progress note.
Ugh.
Everything on it is entirely redacted except for the month and day, January 10th. And
Multiple
this
people
symbol,
in the
which I
chat
listed
saying they were
many,
born in
many times
2002.
before. Everything else gone, redacted.
Congratulations.
I'm trying to figure out why this one was in here. Was the person just trying to intimidate me with a symbol, or
The worst
trying
part
to
is
tell me
they're adults
something,
now.
some kind of surgery?
If they're not yet, they almost
So
are.
what was it for? I don't know.
Ugh. I changed my mind. I'm going to bed. You guys can
Last
watch the rest
form
without me.
is a suicide or self-harm assessment tool. Tim scored a 14, which was considered high risk. It says here, unwilling to contract or unable to contract because
I'm just
of
not even going to look at the
testing,
chat now. I'm just not even looking at it.
hallucinations underlying.
Not looking at it.
Symptoms,
No, sir.
hopelessness, anger or rage, and anhedonia, which I looked up. And
But at least he's not guilty about any of it.
Or pleasure from things. Also, replies were questionable, so who knows if he was lying about anything on here. And then under all those forms was this picture. It's kind of blurry, but it's of Tim and I the night that Tim found out what all I've been doing without telling him. And this written on the back.
I think we had to go out and recreate that photo.
I don't remember seeing anyone else out there that night, but of course I wasn't really super aware of my surroundings after being punched in the face. There's nothing else written on the photo itself besides this on the front.
I forgot about that line.
This on the back. On the inside here.
It's the little things.
Nothing really special worth noting about the doll that was down there either. These forms and this picture. And that's all I get.
Yeah, as for the pain scale thing I was going to say. So not too long before this, a few months before this, I'd gotten like a bad enough case of food poisoning that I had to go to the hospital. And I tried to stick it out, but I was at home for a few hours, and finally I said that was enough, and I went to the emergency room, and by that point it was like I was so dehydrated the back of my head was going numb. So the nurse brings me in, and she sits me down, and she says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you in? I look at her and I just go, I just hucked into the plastic bag they gave me, so she said, I'm just going to put 10. So I think this was intentionally done as us planning on doing like stop motion almost. And then I think the final version is like, it's not quite stop motion, but it's close. I think we might have taken more photos than that so that it could be stop motion looking, but oh yeah, so real ones, remember, if you were watching when these came out, this entry without any of the Jay's text with like a messed up looking title went up on the channel, and it was up for a few hours, and then it was listed as private, and this one was put up in its place. So I think if you look for complete series playlists on YouTube, I think I've seen one that still has the link to the old version of this entry on it, but I mean it's private, so you can't watch it anyway. It's the same, just without Jay's text at the beginning and the end. But if you come across a playlist, you're watching it on YouTube now, and it's a private video, odds are that was probably what it was. It was probably one of those event entries. Yeah, so I was actually I by this point, I mean, I was pretty serious about this one, and so I like went online and watched a bunch of videos of people having real seizures and sort of researching exactly what was happening to the body whenever they happen, so that whenever I did it, it would look realistic and didn't look like just somebody pretending to have a seizure on a video. And a few people afterwards, as you know, it's not the most fun thing in the world, but they did say, people did come up to me afterwards and did say, I actually have seizures, and that was accurate. So that's all the feedback I need, really. I lived in this house for 3 months, and that was 3 months too long. Okay, now we're at the point where we got the big pill bottle with the big supplement pills that show up on camera well. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell who was underneath the costume because he did the hand thing. Yeah, anyone in the chat who has experienced a seizure doesn't need me to tell you this, but even just pretending to have one, I can tell you this is exhausting. Like at this point, I was barely acting because I think we did that for probably a good hour or so. Because the main thing I remember is, it says it's essentially, muscle spasms at random. So even doing it on purpose just to portray one in a fictional setting, it's like you're laying there and you're flexing all of your muscles at once, and then just sort of alternating which ones to relax for a second before you flex them again. So doing that for a while takes a lot out of you. to say the least. This one was... Then this one was actually delayed because I was driving to Troy's apartment that night, and Joseph was with me. He was in the passenger seat, and a guy in a truck ran his red light and took everything out underneath my headlights on my car. So that was the death of my gorgeous green 2005 Ford Mustang. R.I.P. So anyone who was watching in real time back then in 2012, I apologize for the delay, but I think in this case it was a good excuse. It was very inconsiderate of us, I know. Oh, the driver stopped because his truck, like, flipped over a couple of times. Like, his car was even worse off than mine. In fact, I think it may not have even been his. I think he was driving his buddy's truck. Whoops. It's a good bit of life advice just in general. Don't let anybody drive your car that isn't you. That was something my dad told me when I was like 16. I also remember this was right after the Dark Knight Rises came out, and I couldn't stop doing the Bane voice when we were shooting this.
Tim.
If you saw him in the woods, would you be scared? I bet you would. Everyone in the chat saying no, I don't believe you. Was it hard to see out of the mask? Yes, and I have something to say about that, but I'll wait to the end of this entry. What can I say? I'm engrossed.
What are you doing?
I wonder why the night vision turned off for this part. I mean, obviously it was on purpose. I just wonder why that was. Oh, that's why. You wouldn't have been able to see Hoodie's face if the night vision was still on. Yeah, this shack is also very close to the bridge with the railroad tracks from a few entries ago that we met underneath. The woods back there had some trails, and we just walked back there, and we just found all kinds of stuff back there, including this. How did you see out of Hoodie's mask? You didn't. Was the baby doll on the floor? That's right, I forgot about that.
What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Good God, my hair is huge. That was before I discovered
just woke up in
conditioner, folks.
Where are
Just
we?
as important as shampoo.
I think we're still in Rosswood. But not a part that I've ever been in. Wait!
They don't tell straight men about things like conditioner when they're growing up, okay? You either figure it out on your own or you don't.
My camera was
Or
just
your
in front
wife
of me.
tells you about it.
God, I woke up.
Still working?
Yeah, but battery's almost dead.
What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So the mask, asking about if it was hard to see out of it. I know I've told this story, but I don't know if I've told it on the stream yet. So it was difficult to see out of, but the biggest reason is that the eye holes were too low, and because they were too low, whenever I was wearing it, I had to sort of tilt my head up like this to be able to see out of it. And that's another one of those, you know, happy accidents that end up working in your favor, is that if anything, it makes him look a little creepier because he's got this odd way of looking at you. He's kind of got his head tilted up, looking down at you. and also the
Get out of there, okay? And I
entry
appreciate
whenever
your help, I really do,
Alex
but I'm good to walk.
pins him to the ground and hits him
You
with the
gotta walk from
concrete
here?
block.
Yeah.
It
That's like
finally
miles.
broke the hole where the string for the mask was, so we like made like an elastic strap from it after that.
Deal with right now, okay? First of all, I gotta go to my doctor's office and explain to him why I called him up last night like it was some kind of big emergency and then just didn't show up. So if you'll at least let me deal with that, then we can figure out where it is we're going from here. But until then, just go back to wherever it is you hold up and just try not to say anything about this to anybody, alright?
Okay. How long do you think it'll be?
I got your number.
Alex said the same thing.
I got your number. I'm glad the humor in this isn't too like quippy, because that doesn't age very well to me. That's just my opinion on that. $752 viewers. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, so right behind Jay is the restaurant that we met in front of at in entry 53 or 54 earlier.
Sorry, I just got off work. I've been working all day.
What took you so long? It took you weeks to go see your doctor?
Well, in between constant doctor's visits and trying to keep my job, I've been trying to figure out what kind of steps we need to take next.
Steps we need to take?
Yeah.
What would those be?
We could start by giving my medical records back.
Yeah, I was gonna do that. That's why I have them.
You know, I'm really glad you decided to listen to me whenever I told you to leave me out of this.
I didn't know those were gonna be down there in that tunnel. Someone obviously took them from you and left them there for me to find. At least I'm giving them back
You
to
couldn't
you.
have kept them to yourself?
Sorry.
Whatever, they're out there now and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. And I guess I got bigger things to worry about than the whole world knowing what kind of medicine I'm allergic to.
Yeah, they
I'm
did
pretty
help
sure
me
I
find
just
you when you ran off
said
into the woods
that, but
night,
for
too,
real.
don't forget.
Oh yeah? How'd that go?
Could have been a lot worse. What do you think?
I think us just sitting around arguing isn't going to get us anywhere. We need to figure out some kind of a plan, otherwise we're just going to keep running in circles like you've been doing for months.
I haven't been running in circles.
Well, you don't seem like you've had much of a plan.
I've got a plan.
And what is that?
Well, at first it was to find you, and now that I've done that, I need to find out what happened to Jessica.
Do you have any idea how long it's been since you've seen Jessica?
A while.
It's been 1.5 years.
I know.
That's a long time.
I
You know. Where
Everyone's saying it's lagging, so I'm pausing it for a second. I don't know if it's on my end. I don't think it is. Either way, okay. Just pausing it for just a little bit longer. Okay. Starting again.
she is? Do you know if she's even still
I just want to
alive?
find out what happened to her. Maybe it can help us if I do, whether she's
I
alive or
get
dead.
that.
It's
That's
kind of
great,
my
but
fault
we got a
that
bigger
she was in
problem
this
to
mess
deal
in the
with
first
right now.
place.
There's somebody out there that is an immediate threat to both of us.
Well, Comcast has been having outages. Great.
Probably
Well,
watching us right now that you mention it.
Probably. They know where I live. We need to deal with this right now, and if we can do that, then sure.
My wife
I'll
said
help
the
you
lag
find
might have
Jessica,
been on her
whatever it is
end.
I gotta do.
maybe she was downloading a game.
Deal?
Yeah. If it'll get you to help me, fine.
I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
Guess not. Well, what's your plan? What do you want to do?
Well, right now the only lead we have is Rosswood, so we're gonna have to go back there sometime soon.
No.
In the daytime this time.
I've been there in the daytime. Nothing good ever happens when I'm there.
Is that Rosswood or is that you?
Either way, you shouldn't go at all, and you definitely shouldn't go by yourself.
Well, yeah, I kind of figured that out. I've seen what happens whenever you try to go by yourself. That's why I'm trying to get you to go with me.
All right. Been there plenty of times already. What's one more?
Unless you got any better ideas. This doesn't just affect you anymore. This concerns both of us, and we need to figure out what to do. Otherwise, one of us could end up dead.
Okay, yeah. When do you want to go?
What are you
I
doing
have to
right
see
now?
what my work schedule's like, but hopefully sometime this week I can give you a call whenever I know for sure. I guess.
I think lines like that were always put in to explain
Listen, I don't know about you.
why
but I
the
really don't wanna
delays
be
would
in the
happen
open,
in
so
real
if
time
there's nothing
while
else
they were
wanna talk
coming
about,
out.
we should probably go.
We stopped doing that eventually, but we put
Guess not.
lines like that in this for a while.
Thanks for giving these back, I guess, for all the good that does.
Okay, yeah, I'll see you there.
This was the one time I think where the cops did show up and they just kind of thought it was cool. They just were like, okay, and left us alone. Again, small town Alabama, folks. You can get away with stuff like that. That's right. That's right. You said it, not me. You said it.
You have the camera on?
Yeah.
And it's recording, right?
If blinking red light means recording, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're in the flannel zone, folks. It is go
Yeah, this is
time.
it.
Now it's
This is where-
really started.
Alex took us.
You haven't seen him at all since this happened, right?
Nope. I'm guessing you don't remember being here.
Can't say I do. Wasn't exactly in the right state of mind at the time.
So you don't remember anything while you're like
No.
that.
Still can't decide if that's a good thing or not. Do you remember anything about this?
No, not other than what was on the camera.
So,
Jessica and I were right there. Alex was right here at the top of the stairs.
I came at him from behind here.
And you came from behind.
He was right here, holding back. And our
Yeah, we ran out after that. And then we heard the gunshot right as we were getting out too. So it would have been around here, I'm guessing. But I don't see,
obviously I didn't get shot, otherwise I would kind of remember that.
yeah, I don't see any blood stains or anything right here on the wood.
Because
Any
even if there
bullet
were, I don't
holes.
know if they'd still be here, because this was, what, year and a half ago?
I
something
don't
like
even
that.
remember anymore. Something like that. I don't see any bullet holes on the walls or on the floor.
Could that be it right there? You think?
Yeah, that was already there. I remember
Yeah.
we just said, hey, you want to say that's a
Probably.
bullet hole? Yeah, sure. Hell, who knows? It might
Yeah.
be.
That's what it looks like. I mean, I'm no expert, but it looks like it would line up from here. So I'm guessing
Was Alabama after all.
Alex didn't get shot either. It just went through the roof. All right, let's get going.
Chat asked, how many masts did we go through? I think we had 3 total, but I think only one of them straight up broke.
I don't really like being up here anyway.
I think the third one was just a backup that we never had to use.
Keep going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what time it is.
Do you think that shack is out this way?
Should be.
How do you know? I don't even think we're really on a trail anymore.
Yeah.
Ow. What?
Just a guess.
Hope we can find our way back.
I licked the bottle because it was dripping. And then I remembered I had a paper towel after I did that.
This is it up here, I think.
Oops.
Should be back here.
Yeah.
Oops. It's gonna bounce over here. So now we're back. Yeah, this is by the shack. I don't know if we just showed the shack or not, but this is like the same
back
area
there?
here.
No, there's nothing.
Okay, we're saying it's supposed to be.
That's all there is back here.
You sure?
You can see for yourself.
I'm pretty sure this is where it was.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna. Just let me just bounce on by you there real quick.
Let's just get back on the trail that we were on and keep going towards that tunnel. Maybe we'll stumble across it on the way. Because I have no idea where we are.
Where else could it be?
I don't know. What are we going to find if we go in there?
I mean, we got.
So there's another really
there,
cool
so obviously
abandoned
there's
building
something important there.
right on the other side of the
There
tree
could be
line
someone there
almost.
waiting for us too.
And we had it kind of.
Let's
It was
just go
sort
back
of
to
in
where
our
we
back
came.
pocket if we ever thought of a reason to use it, but we never did. But if you want to see it, I made a little short
looked
film
over
for
there
one of
already,
my
there's nothing.
classes that you can see on my
There's a sign
YouTube
right here, but I
channel
can't read it.
from several years back. Don't remember what the name
Let's
of
just
the
go
video
back
is.
before we get
Ooh,
lost. Come on.
heavily screenshotted scene just then. Yes, the video is called The Mill, if you want to see it.
You okay?
That was another one of those locations where we're like, if we think of a reason to use it, we will, but we never did.
You sure?
I think we had enough
Don't worry about me.
abandoned locations as it was. Oh, God bless you. Yeah, I was only acting when the others coughed, but not for me.
Here, you know the camera for a while.
Sure.
You got me into flannels. You're welcome.
Got it. Yeah.
Into wearing flannels or, into flannels?
So is this where Alex? Do you know who that other guy was?
No.
Did Alex, do you think?
I'm not sure.
What's on the other side of this tunnel?
I don't know. I've only been over there once. I was chasing you at the time.
Woods.
Obviously, I don't remember anything about that.
I'm just saying this. I've only been over there once and wasn't really paying that close attention at the time.
Well, I guess now's as good a time as any to find out. Who is it?
I don't know. Something I've never seen before. Hello?
Leave. Now.
That was Alex.
What?
I mean, you just hung up, but that was Alex.
Your ringtone can't age badly if it's just
Is he here?
vibrate.
Hold on, I'm gonna try and call back.
He's not gonna answer.
I'm gonna try.
You think he's following us?
Probably. I mean, if he just calls telling us to leave, then we're probably about to find something.
Yeah, and then stuff like this, it would be like,
We need to get out of here right now. Then, if he's been
I have
following us.
both cameras, but we hand it off to me because we want to be able to show Jay doing all of the action in this scene, since he's the one that answers the phone. Not that I'm putting any either the previous seasons down by any means, but just watching it now, just it seems like all of the operator appearances so far in season 3 have been. We learned from our previous experience, and I feel like we built on it in a
What are you doing out here?
in a way that was successful, in my opinion.
Are you okay? Open the door. What happened? Tim, wait. What are you doing? Tim!
That was my new car.
Tim, wait! Tim!
Still have that car. That's my car that I drive right now. 8 years later. It wasn't good then either. How's that for a prop I can auction? Anyone want a 2006 Mercury Milan? Poorly maintained. Pretty sure at this point, if I were to sell it to a Marble Hornets fan, that is literally the only way I could get any money back for it. I feel like I'd have to pay somebody to take it away. Yeah, so this is right where we had the nighttime meeting by all the dump trucks, just facing the other way. What wine am I drinking? I got a nice Pinot Noir going on over here.
He was right here, moving back. Full of dirt and some trees, but that's all there is back here.
This, I remember this, there was a long delay between the last entry and this one. Like 2 or 3 months. And everyone was like, why the heck is it taking so long? Are they done? And then it came out and everyone said, oh, that's why. That was like October or November river water. Ugh. You're welcome. So we tried all different ways of me landing in the water, including there being like this big scaffolding thing that was like several feet off of the surface that I jumped off of. And then the way we found was me just sort of like standing there like almost waist deep and just kind of like falling forward. Go figure. The least painful way was the one that worked the best. Now the reason this one was so much fun to make is because it almost felt like a throwback to the way we made stuff in season 1, where it was like, okay, we have the general idea behind what this is going to be, so if we think of anything, we'll just film it. Anything you can think of. We just did all this stuff, and then we just figured out a way to stitch it all together. So whenever I was being pulled backwards there, the chest-mounted camera would not point up that way. So I had the mount for it. It was facing forward, and I had the mount in my mouth. And Troy pulled me backwards, and then we recorded the screen later and layered it over that. He was kind enough to come back for this for us. In the parking lot of a church, I believe. Just kind of showed up one night when no one was around. Oh, you can even hear my heartbeat through the casing. I'm not even sure the heartbeat was on purpose, to be honest. It's subtle enough that it really could have just been through the case. So it shouts like this whenever you actually see Jay holding the camera. It kind of makes you think about what a lot of the earlier entries would have looked like from a different perspective. Like whenever he's arguing with someone, for instance. You can get away with it, obviously, because no one can see it, but it's like, you know... We're back. Oh yeah, I forgot about this part. As I remember this part, but I forgot it was the same entry. So yeah, this is the room I mentioned if you were here last night. There was a mattress there. Let me out. I legitimately did not remember this scene. I forgot all about this. It's right there.
It came from right there.
Yeah, I guess the reason I didn't remember this is just because, you know, I didn't have to sit down and write a script for a long time for this, because it's all just visceral, you know. There's no dialogue in this that I had to sit down and write, so that's probably why I don't remember it. Acting is difficult whenever the audience can't see your face, and you can only act with your hands and voice. Everything has to be a little bit bigger. You have to be aware of your movements. I didn't actually swallow him, folks. Sorry if that ruins the magic. That's a whole lot, fella. Probably could have taken a little longer. Probably could have paused a couple more seconds. Swallow those quick. Maybe you chewed them up. Oh. What if they had been suppositories? May have still had an emotional impact in the scene, but would have had to film it a little differently. So, this wall is a lot more solid than we expected it to be whenever I did this. I was hoping I'd actually be able to, like, smash the wall, maybe, or actually knock some of that writing off of the wall, but that is just solid concrete, and that metal pipe just bounces right off. It does not feel good. That's why I only took, like, 3 or 4 swings. How much longer are we going to stream? Well, ending on this one would be an interesting cliffhanger. I won't do that. Especially because the next one is the big monologue.
You have one unheard message sent today at 3:44 a.m.
I know you're probably asleep right now, but it's me. I need you to meet me as soon as you get this.
I mentioned last night, I think, that there was a scene that we completely reshot and edited. We shot and then watched it, realized it was not good at all, edited the script, chopped a lot out, and then reshot it here. It was this was the scene. The original version was just this, but longer and worse.
I know it was recording the whole time we were at the park, but the batteries are dead now. don't know how long they lasted.
Yeah, I figured they would be if it was on.
Listen, there's some things we need to talk about.
Alright, well now would be the time.
There's something I need to show you too.
Something around here?
You know,
No.
Nathan in the chat saying
You're not gonna
surprised
like
that we
this, but
didn't end it on that
go back to the
cliffhanger and ended it with this scene instead. I remember we actually
What?
there was
Why?
a there was a
No,
big
why would we
debate
do
on
that?
that.
Look, we're gonna keep
Looking
working
back
together.
now,
It's
I
just
remember that.
something we need to do.
Uh,
I guess you'll just have to trust me on this.
whether we were going to make
Not
this
really a
scene
trusting
its
person
own
anymore,
entry or
Tim.
tack it
I
on to the
understand
next
that,
entry, or tack it to the end of this one.
If it wasn't important.
I remember there was a lot. I think, if I remember correctly, now that you remind me, I think I may have actually been
Are you
Team
sure it's gonna
Cliffhanger,
help?
but
Yeah.
we worked pretty democratically in that
All
at
right,
that
let's go over there
time,
now and get it
and
out of the
I
way.
think I may have just gotten
Wait,
outvoted.
hang on.
But you know,
I can't just yet. I need to go talk to my boss and see if I still have a job. Probably don't, but it's worth a shot, I guess.
I think it doesn't make
Okay.
as big of a difference if
Yeah,
you're
go
watching
do
them
that.
all
I'll
in
be
a row
around.
right now, because it
Call
still
me
would have
whenever
come
you're done.
afterwards
We'll
regardless.
head over
But
there.
at the time, you know, that is kind of something you have to think about. Yes. This one. I think this one might be my favorite to the Arc entry. Because we just found all these TVs out here. Is he in the... Yeah. Yes. The TV breaking. Oh, man. I remember us being not sure that was going to work. Because that one was basically stop motion. We just turned the camera on and let it roll for a long time. And then it was like we would hit it and then pause to make sure we were out of the shot. And then hit it again and then pause. So, like, it took a long time. Ugh. This is the one that I've been dreading, honestly. I'm afraid I'm gonna
This is it.
critique my acting too much.
This is what exactly?
This was my room. I used to live here, or used to be a patient here, but I guess you kind of figured that out already. So
I mean, the
it was
thought crossed
this
my
entry
mind,
was
but
shot
I
like
never
way
really knew
after
for
the last
sure.
one, that last scene.
Why
But it was
were you
supposed to
here?
take place immediately afterwards, so I had to wear the same clothes. But it was way colder when we shot this one. So if you're wondering why I'm standing like that,
How long are we
that's
talking?
why. It's because I was freezing in that shirt.
Well, my mom brought me here when I was really young, but she never told me exactly why.
You never asked her?
She's never really around to ask. And the doctors would never tell me to my face either, but I'd always hear them say things like violent episodes or delusions, you know, stuff you can't just tell a little kid. And they ran all kinds of tests and just about every disorder you could think of on me at some point or another. And they settled on schizophrenia eventually, but I don't even think they knew for sure. I was on a lot
So
of
if you have
medication most
acting
of the time
training,
was
which I have
here.
had since this, they will tell
I
you
got used to
different
it after a
techniques to
while.
get into the proper headspace for any
helped.
given scene, be it
But
emotional recall,
enough.
like recalling real memories, or
What do you mean?
just even just
Well, one of the
using
problems I was
imagination to
having
get where
was
you need to be mentally before you
hallucinations.
perform. But having
I had
not
a lot of
learned
them.
any of those techniques, I sort of had to figure out ways on my own.
Real, but that still didn't make
And
them
so
go
for
away.
this scene, I remember just down
Maybe
the
I
hall,
just
there's a
didn't want 'em
room
to
that
at the
doesn't have
time.
any windows. And I
one
remember
point they
before
got
the
so
scene,
bad, I kept
this scene,
escaping from my room.
I would just stand in there with my eyes
hide in
closed
the
because
maintenance
it was
tunnel or
actually genuinely distressing
run
to be
off
in
to
there.
Rosswood Park,
And I
you
just
know, it's
stand
not far
there,
away from
some
here.
with my eyes closed, open, and just
And whenever they
stand
would
there
find
and
me,
take it in for a good
I would
10,
say that I
15
was
minutes, a good while, and
hiding from
then
whatever it was I was seeing.
I would
so
come out, and then I would
they'd
just say, "Okay, let's go.
bring me back.
We got to do it now while I'm
They
still
didn't have much of a choice
here."
except to lock me in here. That's when it was at its worst. I'd be clawing at the walls and screaming at all hours of the night. I had to up my dosage just to calm me down to the point where I was almost numb.
But these hallucinations, what do they look like?
Well, that's the thing, I can't remember any of them. Probably because of the medication. It didn't cure me exactly, but it kind of leveled me out enough that I was able to go to a normal school. I got transferred to another facility, got into college. That's where I met Brian, the first real friend I remember having.
That's where you met Alex too, right?
Yeah. When I saw that footage that you got from
I think
him,
my voice shaking was partly from
And that
being cold, partly from doing it
person
on
in the
purpose,
background
and
or
partly
whatever
from
it was,
being
I
nervous.
couldn't
So
help
all
but
of
think,
those
you know,
things
what if
together.
That's what I was seeing when I was in here. You know, what if that wasn't a hallucination at all?
Wait, what are you trying to say?
I'm saying, what if this is my fault? Alex could be a normal person, you could be living a normal life, so could Jessica, so could everybody else if it wasn't for me. I have no way of knowing that for sure. That's always going to be in the back of my mind. How am I supposed to handle that?
I don't think shifting the blame is really going to help anyone right
I
now.
blamed everybody else except for me, and I could be the one that started this.
I think you just need to relax because all the stress is probably making you really
But
paranoid.
what if I'm right? What if what happened to me is happening to Alex right now?
I don't know. But I do know that you're not like him. Not entirely, anyway.
Thanks.
He's not running around in the woods with a mask on at night.
No, but you're not pointing a gun at me right now either.
Well, that's it. No more secrets.
It's kind of a lot to take in at once. Come on, we should go. Unless there's anything else you want to show me.
Oh,
Believe me, I
maybe
really
just
wanna
one
go,
more secret.
But I feel like there's something else here that we're missing.
One or two more.
And if there is, I don't want to have to come back here again looking for it.
Like what?
Well, you found those papers of mine. What if there's more somewhere? Like some kind of filing room, maybe.
Do you know where something like that would be?
Possibly. Can always go look.
Will you know it if you see it?
Probably. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. Alright, if you want to.
Honestly, I was afraid
Go
that I
look.
would hate watching the monologue again. Because I remember feeling much less confident in my acting than I did in 59. But watching it now, the only gripe about I have about it watching it now is the whole time I'm going, get your hand out of your face. Get your hand out of your face. Get your damn hand out of your face. Because I still do that. And it's a habit that's really hard to break.
Should be right up here.
This is behind this desk.
I think so. And of course, there is nothing.
Is there anything in this other room back here? Those are footsteps. Turn off the flashlight.
I think mainly the hand in the face thing is partially A, because I've done enough acting where it's in front of, like, so I've been taking acting classes for a while, and it's closer to stage acting, and so that's one of those habits they try to drill out of you, because if you have your hand in front of your face, then the audience can't see your face, and if they can't see your face, there's a good chance they can't hear what you're saying, or at least tell what you're saying either. Which obviously that's not a big deal on screen, but also, now that I'm just aware of it as sort of like a nervous tick that I have while acting, you know, it's one of those things that's hard not to notice watching it back now. But again, that's one of those things that would bother me more than anybody else watching this, I think. There he is. Pretty sure that was Joseph this time, but it does actually kind of look like it could be Brian. I can't quite tell how lanky he is from here. See, here's the thing about being in the hoodie costume when you're not Brian, is that I picked up on the fact that Brian has a very specific walk because I'd known him for the longest. I've known him since 8th grade. And so whenever I was doing it, I deliberately tried to replicate his walk, and then we all kind of got together so that I could, once I pointed it out, I was like, okay, this is how Brian walks, so that the others would do it too. Because he's got, like, the way he holds his shoulders and then moves his arms when he walks is in a very noticeable way once you're aware of it. I did. I had a walk seminar. That's what we did. Hey, Joseph's here. He says, I don't think it was me in this one. Or maybe, actually. Oh, never mind. Joseph says it might have been. Who can say for sure? Arguably our biggest departure with reality, because there's no way that tape would play, because those DV tapes were very finicky in real life. Those things would break your camera if you so much as looked at them the wrong way.
So what now?
This close. We were this close. How can you just disappear like that?
No, I don't know. He probably hid in the woods and we walked right by him.
Maybe you gotta
Oh my God, the wrench.
Or maybe he's anywhere. I mean, look around.
That might have been the most infuriating shoot day we ever did, just because we shot this scene after I threw that wrench, and then we could not find it again.
Feel a lot better.
We looked forever, and it just disappeared into all of the old corn. So this might have been, this might have been the second take after I was already actually mad. We were worried about a continuity error. That's why we kept looking for it. So like, well, now what? I guess we'll just shoot the scene once. Cool. Well, all right, folks. We have now hit the 2.5 hour mark. I think that's a good time to call it for tonight. This, especially since I don't remember exactly where this disc is, but it's got it. This one has almost another hour, and I know there's quite a bit more after that. So, I think we're gonna call it for tonight. We had ourselves a good run. Had us a good run there. That was almost the runtime of season 2 right there. I believe maybe another 15 minutes or so. I don't know about you, but it almost feels like we're still just getting started. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just because we know what's coming next. But I've been having a lot of fun with these. I've been enjoying all of these, but especially this one. There was a lot that I was afraid I would look back on and go, oof. But if anything, so far it's been the opposite. Not as far as quality of the actual show, more just my performances, but I feel better about them than I thought I would, I guess. So thank you all for accompanying me on this journey into the past. So yeah, we will. I haven't said it for now, because if you've been looking at my little Twitch schedules that I've been tweeting and crossing out and retweeting every day, although I think I forgot to do it today actually, but I only scheduled through Friday, so this is the last one that I have scheduled for this week. So I think we're gonna shoot for Monday, same time. Next Monday. What'll that be? So Monday, April the 13th, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be sure to tweet and Tumble and Facebook and Instagram that later on so that no one forgets. If there's any of those you don't follow me on, feel free to do so. You should. It's fun. And join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. for this week's final stream of Death Stranding, which has also been a lot of fun so far. It's been a good time. So yeah, all of those social links I put in the bio section on Twitch. I don't actually know where that is. You all probably know better than I do. So yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow afternoon at 2. If not, see you all Monday at 7. Night.